Accu-Stats Video Productions presents world-class 9-ball at its best. Along with David Maddux on my right, I'm Bill Incardona. We're at the SANDS Regency in not Lake Tahoe, but Reno, Nevada. And this is the first stop on the 1996 Camel-Pro Billiards Series. That's a series of 15 events that's going to span from, I think,
the first part of June
till December, which will be about 6 months. And during that time, I think they're going to be giving away over $1.5 million. It's quite a bit of money for these players. What do you think?
It's definitely the best prize and sponsorship that the billiards that the MPBA or PBTA has been able to land, and the first major, sponsorship. And Camel has really made a strong effort to do it right. And we look for good things this year and hopefully get better and better.
And not only do the players have the incentive to play well for the purses that are up for grabs right now, $50,000 guarantee for this tournament, but also at the end of the year, there is an additional $251,000 for the players that accumulate the most points. And the first 20 players, that is, that accumulate the most points will divide that $251,000 amongst themselves. So therefore, there's an extra incentive out there for all these players. And in the feature match, Buddy Hall, we all know who Buddy Hall is. Well, anyways, his opponent is Rudolpho Luat from the Philippines. This match can go either way, David.
I agree, Billy. And Rudolpho Luat has really been playing exceptionally well. He was the runner-up at the World Championship tournament in Winston-Salem this past fall. And so, he's also one of Buddy Hall's instructors at the Buddy Hall Pool School. So, they know each other's game very well, and it should be a great match.
The Filipino contingency is here. Rudolpho Luat on the feature table. Leonardo Andam, Efren Reyes, and Francisco Bustamante. Two of the Filipinos have lost their first round match. Rudolfo has not yet lost, but Francisco Bustamante has lost, and Leonardo Andam has lost. It's not often that you see the Filipinos losing their first round. I mean, they're such great players.
Right.
We expect to see them late in the tournaments, if not in the semi or the finals.
Right.
They're really great players, and they're so much fun to watch play. Efren Reyes, by the way, is playing on the adjacent table. Maybe at one time or another during the match, we'll have an opportunity to go over and to visit him.
Well, it's difficult to tell if Rudolpho Luat played a little ticky, kind of safe on the one ball. He couldn't make it, and tried to get Buddy behind the 3 and the 9. We're going to see if Buddy elects to play safe and put him behind the 3-9.
Well, Buddy tried to put him behind the 3-9. He wanted to utilize the 3-9, and there was a big area there that he thought that he could perhaps get the cue ball in, and then when Rudolpho steps to the table, he would have a shot. I believe Luat does have a shot on the 1, and he may even have enough room past the 2 to pocket the 1 in the upper right-hand corner. Excellent shot maker, as we've just witnessed. A little roughly hit, but in the meantime, the pocket size on the tables out there for this particular tournament, and for that matter, for the entire 1996 Camel-Pro Series, they're very, very tight pockets. They're not shimmed; they're made this way. So therefore, the pocket size are a little bit under, or possibly just around 4.5 inches.
And we're also still using the Simonis 860 cloth, and in the future, in our agreement with Camel and our association with Camel, I believe it's beginning in San Diego that all of the tables are going to be covered in a camel color, and that's similar to a khaki. And most people have probably seen that color cloth, and so that's what we have to look forward to in the future.
Well, Rudolpho Luat played a 3-9 billiard, pocketing the 9, and now the first game of the match goes to Luat, who is the lead in the match 1-0. Are you saying that we're going to be changing the color of the cloth from green to
it's like a khaki. It's a khaki color, yeah, and it's really not bad cloth to play on. You don't have it's not quite as big a contrast between this color green and the balls as opposed to the tan and the balls. So there's not as many shadows.
And whose idea, if I might ask, whose idea was that, to have the color of the cloth changed to?
I haven't heard, but if I were going to
guess?
To guess, I would say that it was someone at Camel. But it is going to be Simonis 860 cloth. It'll be a special cloth made by Simonis, the same thread count and everything as this. So it should play exactly the same, except it's going to be a different color. We're also going to be playing on the AMF table, which is called, I believe it's the Advantage. I'm not sure of what this particular model is, but it is that's a great playing table. They've really played consistently this week so far.
Luat could go cross table underneath the 7, playing position for the 3 in the right-hand side pocket. That's a very accessible route to the 3, plus it'll give him a little, well, he's opted to go to the other side, which is a lot easier, more natural.
I believe he's fallen a little short. He wanted to be where he could shoot the 3 in, cutting it to the left and float the cue ball over to the right-hand side rail. Now he's going to have to either hit it with a high inside ball. Yeah. Well, this could be a little bit funny here, depending on how he contacts the 8 after pocketing the 4.
Luat, a player that really comes to every event prepared to play. Strong concentration. Didn't have much of a problem with that particular shot, and relocating the 8 on the other side of the table, making sure that it didn't interfere with the shot on the 7. Very wisely done. Luat doesn't he just doesn't seem to be comfortable with the angle that he has. He must be straight in on the 7. And maybe the angle that he has on the 7 suggests that if he draws it back, he may draw it back toward the side pocket. If he goes forward, he'll probably go into the upper or the lower corner pocket. Let's see what he does with it. Drawing it back to about 2 to 3 feet, accepting the little thin cut on the 8 into the corner pocket. But this particular shot shouldn't really present much of a problem for Rudolpho. Hitting it a little roughly, and when I said they had 4.5-inch pockets, had that pocket have been 4 3/4 or 5 inches for sure, the ball would have fallen.
Definitely. That's an interesting point that you made about the rails being cut, the length to where the pockets are 4.5 inches instead of having a 5-inch pocket shimmed. That makes a lot of difference in how true and consistently every table plays. Because sometimes the shims, they affect how the ball reacts in the pocket.
Absolutely. And sometimes it's very difficult to bank a ball when you have to bank it close to one of the corners of the pocket, where you hit that shim and then you get that, that unpredictable, reaction off that shim. But not true here, like David mentioned. The entire rail is a rail. There are no shims, so therefore every part of the rail will act the same. You'll get a lot of consistency with your banks and with your pocketing ability in terms of the ball, the pocket accepting the ball.
I think that really comes into play a lot, particularly for you being a one-pocket player. Those shots come up very often, and this would would make a big difference. It doesn't come into play as much in the 9-ball as it does in a game like one pocket where you're banking balls close to the pocket, things like that.
Well, Buddy Hall's at the table. The match is tied up at 1 game apiece. Buddy is running a billiard room in Tampa, Florida, TR's billiard room, and has been playing a lot of pool lately, and he feels pretty good about his game. He's playing with a Mucci. I believe he's now on the Mucci staff, along with several other top players that are also on the Mucci staff. And they all really seem to love the way the Mucci cue plays.
Well, it's interesting to note that you spoke of Buddy has recently entered a contract with Mucci cues, and we'll probably see a line of Rifleman cues from Mucci. And Rudolpho Luat is still sponsored by Bloodworth Cues, who was Buddy's cue sponsor. So that's interesting that we'll see if maybe Luat switches over too.
That was a nice shot Buddy just executed on the position for the 3. that particular angle that he had on the 2, this table, at least I find this table, or the tables, very difficult to draw the ball back and have it lengthen out as easily as Buddy executed that shot and had it lengthen out for him.
He wants this ball to lay closer to the rail than the 4 ball is, or straight in, so he doesn't have to deal with the 7 ball. And you couldn't place it any better with your hand. That was a great shot.
Now the 8 seems to be some sort of a problem in regard to Buddy playing position from the 6 to the 7. So he's going to try to draw it back a little past center table and most likely go 1 cushion toward the 7. And he doesn't want to get behind the 8. He wants to stay away from the 8 at all, all the time. He wants to just draw. I mean, he may be kind of flat on this shot, Dave.
I believe he is, Billy, and he may have to go 2 rails out of the corner. No, he's going to play it 1. He might just go toward the center of the table with this. He has got so much confidence in his control. That is a great shot.
I thought perhaps he may have been a little flat on the 6. Evidently, he wasn't flat, controlling the cue ball perfectly once again. This is game number 3. Match is tied up at 1 game apiece. Even though he neglected to put a bead up on his side, it's still tied up at 1 apiece.
Right.
We have the cameras that will attest to that if need to be.
I'll tell you what, if Buddy continues this match and the rest of the tournament with that kind of precision, we may be looking at the SANDS champion.
Yeah, I know that he's been playing a lot of pool lately, and in his first opportunity at the table, like David mentioned, he seems really smooth, very relaxed and comfortable. And when a player the likes of Buddy Hall, which there aren't very many players like Buddy, when they're feeling comfortable, their opponent's in a lot of trouble. That's game number 3. It goes to Buddy Hall. Leads in the match now by the score of 2-1.
Well, like you mentioned, it's just his demeanor. It looks like the Buddy of old, just really extremely confident and smooth and just very businesslike and extremely great control.
Buddy pushing 2 beads over now to correct the score. Buddy leading 2-1, preparing to break the balls in game number 4. Focusing very strongly on the break, realizing how important the break shot is. Slightly mishit the break, hitting the left side of the 1 ball, but nevertheless he was able to put down the 2 ball. The 3 ball's positioned by the side rail, almost frozen to the side rail. Now the 5 ball is in front of the side pocket. The 7 ball is in between the 5 and the 3. That's right, that's the 3. That's the ball he'll have to play position for. So therefore, this shot demands a lot of attention, and he has to hit it very accurately. If he can hit the left side of the 1, come straight down toward the 3 in that fashion, he'll probably choose to do that. Looks like he's hit the 1 too thickly, and maybe, just maybe, he may not have a shot on the 3. From my vantage point, David, I don't know if he has a shot or not.
I really don't think that he can pocket the 3 ball, without either elevating or, rail first. It's difficult to tell if the 3 ball is frozen to the cushion.
Let's take a look at Buddy. He doesn't seem bothered by it all that much. But most importantly, you're going to have to stay focused. Don't move and just pocket the ball like the 5 wasn't even there. He tried to do that, but the 5 evidently was in his line of aim, and he ran into the 5, giving up his position at the table.
Now, Buddy just looked at there was a cameraman standing right in front of our booth, and when he walked up and stopped right at Buddy's line, Buddy glared at him. If looks could kill, the cameraman would be on the ground in front of us. It's amazing how your senses get elevated when you're in this type of situation and seem to notice things that you would never notice otherwise.
Oh, Buddy's a very intense player, and he bears down so hard every time he plays.
Well, Rudolpho really needs to make sure he gets a good angle on the 6 ball for position on the 8. The angle that he has, which is virtually no angle, he'll just be able to draw the cue ball straight back up table.
It was very noteworthy to me that even though the ball seemed in the open, if you don't get a real good angle on the 6 in terms of, the angle that you need to get back to the 8, he could have created problems for himself in this track. And a lot of players really overlook that. And it's something that's really not that obvious, and that's why they overlook it, but it's really important. Well, it's very crucial for him to attain the angle that he did on the 6th ball in order to go comfortably back toward the 8, which he's done.
Right.
And now look at his position for the 9. That all stemmed from his ability to play position for the 6. Game number 4 goes to Luat. He ties the match up at 2 games apiece. There just seems to be a lot more excitement on the tour right now with the involvement of Camel. I mean, the players out there are realizing now that they're playing for much more money, and in the future, probably, most likely, they're going to be playing for even more money. And they have some great lighting on all the tables. We always have good lighting here on our feature table. Pat Fleming's lights that are conducive for the TV cameras. So therefore, that's very important. And on the adjacent tables, the lighting is just absolutely fantastic. They're excellent lighting. The players really appreciate that. We're playing with Centennial balls. Excellent lighting. It's a Monos 860 cloth, AMF table. It really can't get much better than that.
No, it sure can't. And the Camel lights they were made specifically for the tour, and it has 8 4-foot fluorescent bulbs, and the light is just tremendous. I mean, it's so even over the table. There's no dark areas of the table. It's
ideal.
Conditions,
it's ideal for playing pool. Matter of fact, this is the first tournament that I've entered in almost 4 years, and to be quite honest, that was the deciding factor. That really prompted me and encouraged me to play in the event, because I have problems seeing, and in most tables they don't really have the proper lighting, and they don't have enough lighting for me to play my best game. So therefore, if I'm able to concentrate, then I shouldn't have any excuses. The lighting certainly is great. Rudolpho Luat at the table, playing the 1 cross side, coming up a little bit short, but fortunately the cue ball finds a position behind the 2, but he's not really happy with this, but this is a necessitating situation for him. He must shoot. He doesn't like it, but he has to deal with it.
Well, I like to use a phrase that you use frequently, in that he ended up with that safety, and that was a hidden percentage, that if he missed the bank on the 1, that he probably had a good chance to end up safe, because there were 3 balls that could have obstructed the path from the cue ball to the 1, those balls being the 2, 9, and the 3. So he just he didn't risk losing the game if he missed that ball necessarily.
Well, it was most certainly the lesser of 2 evils. The other evil was naturally if he pocketed the 1 cross side, and he'd be at the table with control of the table with a chance to run out.
Right.
So therefore, Buddy most likely is going to view it like that.
Right.
Excellent hit. I don't know if it has enough speed to get there. I
believe it does.
It may have enough legs to get there. It does.
Oh, what a great shot.
Excellent shot.
And a window between the 3-9 to pocket the 2 in the lower right-hand corner. There's a grin on Buddy's face. That's great.
Okay, now this is a very delicate shot, considering that I believe the 9 blocks the pocket, the lower right-hand pocket for the 3. So therefore, in the regard that the 9 does block the pocket for the 3, which he's bending over now to take a look to see if it does, he's going to have to play position for the 3 elsewhere. And doing that is going to make the pocketing of the 2 more difficult.
Because he can't pocket the 2 naturally, either has to hit it with a little inside, or he may go into the 3.
Naturally, rolling the ball very softly was the correct way, I believe, of playing the shot. Buddy hits center ball and rolls ball so accurately, and it shows up, when he plays. That was one of the times where it showed up, because that shot didn't play as easily as he made it seem.
Absolutely.
Once again, very softly. This time, he's being distracted by the people on the outside.
You can see.
But I don't think he should allow himself to be distracted. He has the option to get up off of a shot if he feels that he's uncomfortable for whatever reason. So I don't know. I really can't say much in his defense. I think that he should have gotten back up, because there are some things that happen on the sidelines you just can't prevent. You can't stop them from happening, so you have to get back up at times.
True.
He knows it, and he realizes that it was his fault. He just doesn't want to fault right now.
I know that it's not the same thing, but watching the games in the NBA, and those guys get up on the free throw line, and those people are screaming, yelling, waving those balloons and everything. Can you imagine trying to make a ball with that going on? It'd be crazy.
Yeah, well, the difference there is that you know what you're going to get. See, what you see is what you get.
Right.
But if you get something that you don't see, now it becomes startling to you. You're shocked by it. That's the difference in that. But
right.
But you're right. When an opposing team member tries to make a free throw from the free throw line, he's subjected to a lot of noises and flashing whatever signs, brick, or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
So therefore, he's trying. They're trying to distract him. He's preparing himself for that. Buddy, on the other hand, is not supposed to prepare himself for someone sharking on the side. Now he has to softly roll this in, or else go around the 9.
He's chosen to go around the 9. He'd like to be another couple of feet, but he's probably going to be okay.
Yeah, he's in his soft stroking mode right now. He is very, very nervous. Jamie Goodwin on the adjacent table motioned to the tournament, one of the referees of the tournament, to come over and make a call. Motioned with his stick, and Buddy was shocked by that. He's allowing everything to bother him, David. This is really not the Buddy Hall that we're used to seeing. Even though he seems like he's getting the job done, I think it's really difficult for him. He seems like he's in some sort of agony out there.
I think it shows some in his shot selection also. If you go back to when he shot the 7 ball, the 8 ball was already made, and play in position from the 7 to the 9, don't you think that normally he would hit that with a little bit of inside and check it up, 2 rails up in the area of the,
Are we talking about the last rack?
Yes.
Well, from our vantage point, at times it's hard for us to see the angle that he has, so therefore we really can't second guess him.
Mm-hmm.
But what I was referring to is that he seems to be distracted very easily, which really is uncharacteristic of Buddy. I think he's going to have to try to calm himself using whatever method he has to do that, and do the best job he can. Game number 5 goes to Buddy.
We're going to have to get you a seat back.
I almost just fell out of the booth here.
We'd be calling this the SANDS Incardona, wouldn't we?
Game number 5 goes to Buddy, breaking the balls, and game number 6 coming up dry on the break. Balls are spread very nicely. The 2 ball to the right of the foot spot. 3 ball is positioned to the left of the cue ball. So there you have it, the 1, 2, and the 3. 4 ball near the upper left-hand corner. Very closely positioned to the upper left-hand corner pocket. Luat's going to have to get the bridge, because on this shot he's going to have a problem stretching and reaching the shot comfortably. So he has to draw the ball back, and when you stretch on the shot and you try to draw back, you usually lose a little bit of the stroke that you need to draw the ball back with. He wasn't going to take any chances of that happening. Very wisely fetching the bridge, shooting the 1, drawing it back just about in perfect position for the 2. As I mentioned, the 3 ball is to the left of the cue ball, 4 up table near the upper left-hand corner.
He's going to be straight in on 3 on the side, and that's even, he has to cut it to the right a little bit, and that's even better because the cue ball is going in the direction of the 8. He'll probably go to the end rail, bounce out just a little bit.
Yeah, this is a connected dot run out. The 5 in front of the side pocket, the 6 down table from the 5, 7 across table from the 6. The 8 ball is at the other end of the table, nowhere near a cushion though. It's in really a good position on the table to play position for. The 9 ball rests near the bottom cushion. Considering the position of the 8, shouldn't be any problem playing position for the 9.
If there were any problem left with 4 balls on the table, it would be from the 8 to the 9. And if he gets a correct angle on the 8 ball, that won't be any problem either.
He would like to position the cue ball, I'd say about 6 to 8 inches to the left of middle of center table, pocketing the 8 in the upper right-hand corner, swinging 3 cushions down, 1, 2, and hitting the side cushion with the cue ball, dropping nicely near the bottom cushion for position for the 9. He'll increase the accuracy of the shot by hitting it with this type of velocity also. 1, 2, 3. hitting the third cushion and then dropping nicely down for the position for the 9 in the lower left-hand corner. Game number 6 looks like it's going to go to Luat, which it does. He ties up the match at 3 games apiece. So between the two players out there, I think you're going to have to agree with me, Luat seems much more relaxed. Even though Buddy seems to be getting the job done, I think Luat seems to be much more relaxed. There's Efren Reyes on the adjacent table, who many regard as the best player in the world today, and perhaps maybe the best player who has ever played the game.
He's the Michael Jordan of pool, to be sure. And such a great person, you know.
He'll have to play the 7-9 billiard if we opt to stay on that table. Luat in preparing to break the balls, which we're back at the feature table. In the meantime, Reyes did play the billiard. He pocketed the billiard. We caught the tail end of it. Luat came up with a ball on the break. As a matter of fact, 2 balls on the break. The balls have taken their positions, too.
And another connect the dots out. This one's even easier, if that was possible, than the last one.
It very could be. The 2 to the 4 is the only really problem I see out there, which is if you can consider that a problem.
It's difficult to tell if the 4 ball passes the 6 in the lower left-hand corner, but every other pocket is available for the 4 ball, and he's fallen perfectly on the 2 to get position on the 4.
Well, it looks like to me from his position on the 2, he's decided to play position for the 4 in the lower left-hand corner by the 6. Because the 7 precludes him from going across table for position for the 4 in this pocket. No, it didn't. He was able to stay underneath the 7, which I didn't think he could do that, but evidently I was wrong. He's the man at the table. He's the one that has to be right, and so far he's been right.
Well, this shot, he's going to roll forward a little bit, or just stop it. He has an angle just to go 1 cushion back up to about where the cue ball is right now.
Yeah, he would like to get a little closer than that because no sense of him shooting a real long shot on the 7.
Well, he would have rather had the angle from where it was at than this angle.
This is nothing to this. It just makes the ball. That's it. Plus, he can do other things with it, too. I just think he's going to cinch it and draw back about 6 or 8 inches. Force it over a little bit.
It looked like the angle was a little more steep than... You've got a little better perspective. Rudolpho has the best perspective, however.
Absolutely. A little roughly hit, but notice he hit it with pocket speed. That's ideally suited for any type of a pocket. If you hit a shot with that type of speed, you're going to get the maximum out of the shot in terms of the pocket being able to accepting the ball. So therefore, Luat realizes how to play the game, and he plays it really, really well. Uses very fine judgment at the table, hitting just about everything he can, if he can, with pocket speed. Game 7 goes to Luat. He leads in the match now by 1 game, 4 games to 3.
You might want to explain to the viewers, Billy, about if they noticed the braking area. There's no longer a side rail break, and everyone has to break from out of the box. I don't know if the viewers can see it on the screen.
Well, there's a box that is drawn on the table that the players must break from. And the reason they designed this box was they feel that there goes the 9. And also another game on Luat's side. He now strings his lead by 2 games in the match, 5 games to 3. And just to get back to what we were talking about in regard to the box, the player must position the cue ball inside of that box area and break the balls from that position. The reason they designed it like that is because they felt that if they forced the players to break the balls from the box, then the wing ball, the corner ball, would less likely have a chance to go in, and also it would be more difficult to pocket, I believe, the 1 in the side,
right,
making the break not as crucial of a shot, not as demanding of a shot as it has been in the past, and giving more emphasis on skill opposed to just the break. And I thought that was a very, very good idea, but as great a players around on the tour today, I think that it's just a matter of time before they master that break also.
Right. Well, that's why I say, eventually it's going to end up, we're going to be breaking with the ball up on the end rail or something, from the center spot.
Okay, Buddy went to started walking to the table, and he threw up his hands in disgust, like, this is what I have to get. At least he's at the table. The problem that I can foresee from my vantage point is the 6-8 on the right side of the table near the side pocket. Everything else seems like it's playable, with maybe the exception of the 3. See, this is a shot here where he's going to have to be very careful, and not only careful, he's going to have to show us some skill. In order to attain position for the 3, he's going to have to show us some Buddy Hall position-like play. The 7 ball is a big ball that's positioned up to the upper left-hand side of the 3. It may come into play if he's not careful. And also the ball cross table, the 4 ball. That ball may be in the path of a possible route to the 3. So therefore, he has to show us some pretty good position play here.
He may elect to lag it in and play safe on the 3.
Okay, now he went into the 4, and that was a big ball. Now he's in a position where he has a bank cross-side, or he also has a possible safety. He can cut the 3 somewhere in the area of the 8-6, sending the cue ball cross table, or he can opt to bank the 3 cross-side.
He's banking.
Excellent bank pull player, Buddy Hall, but these tables are very difficult to bank on. Not for him, though. He allowed the cue ball to get a little bit too farther down table than he wanted, but unfortunately he ran into the 4, impeding the progress of the cue ball. Has a nice shot on the 4. The 5 ball, though, lies at the other end of the table. He may have a problem attaining a shot on the 5 because it looks like he's going to have to go toward the 8 and the 6 with the cue ball. So this is a very interesting situation.
He looked like he was disgusted at the end of this shot, but it really is not that bad considering that he's going to be able to break these balls out and run out.
Well, as easily as he made that appear and seem, it certainly wasn't that easy. Most importantly, he had to hit the 4 ball there very thickly in order to get that follow through. He needed to follow through the 4 ball with the cue ball, keeping that spinning after contacting the side rail going into the 6-8, breaking them away from one another, and then eventually ending up with a shot on the 5. He played it exactly the way he planned it, and it was an excellent shot.
Well, the 2 big risks on that shot were, 1, that he scratched when he hit the back of the 8, and 2, that the 6 ball hooked him. So there was a lot of risk in that shot, and he executed it perfectly.
But as astute as Buddy Hall is, he realized that if he hit the 4 ball thickly, the cue ball would then go to the side cushion before contacting the ball. Now, the risk of getting hooked is if you hit a ball before you contact the side cushion. And if you do that, you find yourself more often than not behind the ball. He was very aware of that, and with his tremendous ability to focus and concentrate, plus his ability to control the cue ball, he handled it just about as well as anyone could.
He's fallen a little short of the mark on the 8 ball.
But he's got a strong stroke. He'll just pinch draw this, just sending the cue ball to the side cushion. Hit the 8 a little roughly, but nevertheless, found the bottom of the pocket.
What's an interesting contrast in how he played the first 2 games. Everything was crisp, his speed was perfect, and he got distracted a couple of times, and it unnerved him a little. Well, he closed the gap to 5 games to 4 in favor of Rudolpho Luat.
I really haven't seen Buddy play often chewing gum. This is kind of like new to me, if you will. I mean, he doesn't really chew gum when he plays. At least I don't notice that. And he's out there chomping like Nick Varner. He must have had a conversation with Nick, and Nick must have told him something about the secret of the chewing the gum stuff.
Right.
I wonder what flavor he has.
Well, if it's a piece of the Nick Varner gum, then
It's bazooka.
Yeah, exactly right. That's what the Rifleman needs, is a bazooka. Okay. I see a commercial in there somewhere. Call Wrigley's.
Rudolpho missing the 1 ball badly. Fortunately, really not suffering much of a consequence and missing the 1 ball, leaving Buddy no offensive shot, and most likely a shot that he's going to probably end up taking the worst of right here. He can only hit the left side of the 1, and if he does that, he really can't control the cue ball well enough to walk away from the table with an advantage. He's really got a problem here, Dave.
He's almost 9 feet away from the ball, and it looks like the way he's addressing the ball, it looks like he's going to bank it down table. Try to use the 3 to block.
I don't know if he can hit the right side of the 1. If he's opting to go to the left side of the 1, he's going to try to draw it behind the 7, but the shot doesn't lie, good enough in terms of speed. He doesn't have the correct speed and angle to control the cue ball comfortably with this shot. So let's see what he does here. He's lagging it. He got a double kiss. He's going to scratch in the corner pocket. It was a very difficult situation he was confronted with there, and even though he lagged it and got the double kiss, he wasn't guaranteed that he had a scratch, but unfortunately he did. And for Luat, it's kind of delightful to see that happen.
Yeah.
2 ball in the upper left, 3 ball to the right of the 2. That's who we played position for in the upper right-hand corner. The 4 ball is positioned near the left-hand side pocket. I believe he has room to pocket the 4 in the side. If he doesn't have that pocket available, he can always play position for the 4 in the lower left-hand corner. 5 ball cross table from the 4. The 6, 8, and 9 are grouped tightly near the lower quadrant of the table. Looks like he's going to play position for the 4 in the lower left-hand corner. The ball at the other end of the table is the 7 ball.
That's another situation right there, Billy, where, his speed is really excellent on that shot because he's got the cue ball closer to the rail than the 4. So that makes pocketing the 4 and position on the 5 easier to do both.
Exactly. And if he wanted to place it, that's probably in the area that he would place it naturally closer to the 4, but with that type of an angle.
Right.
And this is where it can get a little touchy right here from the 7 to the 8 to the 9, because the 9's positioned very closely to the 8, possibly precluding him from playing position for the 9 in the same pocket unless he gets the angle to go down table, back up table. Now, if he can attain the straight-in angle on the 8, he can stop it for the 9, but I don't know if I like that.
I think what we're going to see him do, Billy, is intentionally run into the 9 after he pockets the 8.
I don't believe he'll do that. I like this. I like going back down table or drawing straight across if I could, or just stopping the ball if I have that angle. See, now he didn't come out. He didn't do well with that shot. He would have done much better drawing it into the 9 like you suggested, or hitting it, cutting it thinly and going back down table, back up table again, because there really isn't much of a chance of him scratching unless he scratches in the upper right-hand corner. And I'm certainly sure he's skillful enough to stay away from that pocket. There's a large rail down there, and any part of that rail that he hits will send him back down table for the position for the 9. And
we both feel like there were 2 shots better than the one he shot.
Well, for sure, at least the way he shot it. And that's really not like Luat, because he's really a super world-class player.
Well, as I alluded to earlier, he finished 2nd in the World Championship tournament, and I think that speaks for itself as to the caliber of player that he is.
The gum-chewing Hall back at the table,
banking the 1 ball under his hand,
lining up a bank on the 9, and once again striking it very nicely. And keep this in mind: the AMF tables, at least from the experiences that I've had playing on the AMF, which isn't all that long, very difficult table to bank balls on. Very difficult. Perhaps I'm still going through the transition period, which I am, in adjusting to the way the rails react. But Buddy Hall seems to be very comfortable banking on the AMF table.
Do you feel like they bank shorter?
Oh, absolutely. They absolutely bank shorter.
Buddy's moved the position of the cue ball to the right-hand side.
That's a much better break. I don't know if he's going to make anything. He hasn't. throwing up his hands again. But he didn't really suffer any consequence in giving up an offensive shot. Luat steps to the table. Doesn't really have anything. He's really in a tough spot because on this particular shot that he's confronted with here, he can't take the shot. There's nothing offensive that he has offered to him, and he really can't push out. He's really, really in a tough position right now.
Well, if he doesn't push out, the only thing I really see that he can do is to go around the right-hand side of the 3 to the end rail, clip the 1, and have the cue ball go between the 4 and the 8 over toward the 5 ball, and the 8 ball stopping the 1.
Yeah, in order to do that, you would have to hit the 1 ball so thinly,
Right.
and to judge that is so difficult, and it's hard to put your eggs in that basket there,
Right.
you know, because that's a very small basket.
I think Buddy's going to give him this back, yeah. Because there's nothing that you can do here. You can't make the 1, and I don't know. I don't see any way that you can play safe. Now he's kicking at the 1.
This is another interesting situation that's developed. I think Buddy's going to use the 8 to stop the progress of the cue ball, and he's going to try to position the 1 behind the 4. Looks like he hit a little too hard, maybe.
We may see Rudolpho bank the 1.
See, I would have shot that shot the same way he did, but I would have hit it much softer. I wouldn't have allowed the 1 ball to escape the area that I wanted to have it end up in behind the 4.
Right.
Leaving the cue ball near the cushion at the same time. Now, Rudolpho, if he can see the left side of the 1, I think Buddy's going to walk back to the table with a problem.
Well, if the 1 ball is frozen to the cushion, that even adds to his problem.
Okay, now this is the type of a shot that you mentioned that Rudolpho Luat had when he had the initial shot on the 1. He would kick, and then Buddy should go ahead. I don't like what he's doing. Well, if he can see it, it's okay because then he'll position the cue ball somewhere in the area that it's in now.
Wow.
He wanted a little bit of a brush, but not that much.
Well, you said in the area where it was,
Well,
and that's like
not in that fashion.
About in a quarter. You may have missed it by like a quarter of an inch, Billy.
Yeah, but I didn't
anticipate the rub on the 2.
Yeah, I didn't figure that in. That's not a bad shot, considering that there's a lot of good things that could happen to him. He could pocket the 1, and he could possibly come up with a pretty good safety out of it, and there was a chance that he could come out of it with a hook. But the only other thing is he would have missed it and sold out. So actually, there were 3 out of 4 things that were pretty much in his favor.
Well, the only thing that Buddy can do is he has Efren Reyes as they've completed their match. He's won 11 games to 3. Anyway, I was going to say the only 2 options really that Buddy has is the 2 rails. I don't know about this. If he's going to the right side of the 3, hitting left spin into the 1.
He may have made this ball.
Wow.
He soft rolled that. He soft rolled the shot in the side. Losing a little bit of dignity on that particular shot, and knowing that the people here knows he didn't play that, and hitting it as softly as he did, he was quite fortunate to see it drop into the side pocket. Had it not dropped into the side pocket, Luat would have been at the table with a great opportunity to capture this rack.
Well, he can't say he didn't get any rolls because he got one right. I mean, I know there was the chance that he would make the 1, but low percentage. He knows he was fortunate to make it.
Shooting over the ball really is going to create a little bit of a problem for Buddy on this particular shot. Had the 4 ball not been there, or if it wasn't there, this shot plays so much easier. And he could just play position for the 3 in the upper right-hand corner. Let's see if he does that anyways. Watch the 6. Watch the 6. That was too close for me.
Well, it's going behind the 4.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to go behind the 4.
Well, he's looking to see if he can shoot straight at it. He may be able to jump the edge of the 4 and make the 3. Well, all he really has to do is concentrate on making the 3. The position's automatic.
That was very nicely executed by Mr. Hall, as he so often does. Come up with real nice shots when he's in a little bit of a pickle. Well, that time, jumping over the edge of the 4 ball, handling the cue ball nicely as he usually does, putting himself in perfect line for the 4, 5 ball position near the left-hand cushion. Lazy cue ball, but not too lazy, but looked like a lazy cue ball. He would have liked to play position for the 6 in the lower right-hand corner because of the lazy cue ball. It'll preclude him from doing that, at least drawing straight back off the 1. So he's going to probably have to draw 2 cushions and play the 6 in the side pocket.
Right.
Hitting it a little roughly, and like I mentioned before, when you stretch, you lose a little bit of feel, and it happens quite often to people when they stretch, especially people that have large bodies.
Right.
They really lose a lot of feel.
People like Efren and Francisco Bustamante, they stretch out on the table.
Yeah, they have
the most awkward contortions you've ever seen, but being their build.
Much more agile than a man the size of Buddy.
Well, game number 11 gets a gold star by Buddy's name because the first shot we saw was a kick in on the 1. He jumped the 4 and made the 3. So he really earned this. He really earned this out.
Well, at least it didn't come easy.
Oh, yeah. No, it didn't. Definitely did not come easy.
Hit it real thickly, but nevertheless, it found the bottom of the pocket. Game number 11 appears like it's going to go Buddy's way, and if it does, he'll take a lead in the match by the score of 6-5. This is day 2 of a 5-day tournament here in Reno, Nevada. As I mentioned before, it's the first of 15 tournaments that's sponsored by Camel, referred to as the 1996 Camel-Pro Billiards Series. Over $1.5 million in prize money will be added by Camel for these players to shoot for. The score is 6 games for Hall, 5 for Luat. And the reason I said that, because Buddy asked me what the score was, and didn't seem like it was fitting right with what I was saying, but that was, distracted somewhat by Buddy's asking me what the score was. He's going with that soft break. He must have been talking to Fleming lately. That's a Pat Fleming break. He told me that he broke that way in Philadelphia. He won in the Northeastern State tournament that he won. He was breaking them very softly, playing the 1 on the side. And he said that the reason he played it like that, if the 1 didn't go on the side, it would usually go down the table, leaving the cue ball down there, the foot end of the table, and not leaving a shot on the 1. Obviously, it was effective. He won the tournament. He must have been talking with Buddy, because Buddy's tried it right there, with really not much success in regard to pocketing the 1 on the side, but he didn't leave Lou out of the shot.
I wouldn't exactly give up on that break, after trying it one more time, maybe from the other side of the table or something, because that break is extremely effective if you can find the spot on the table to break from.
Oh, you're not kidding. I would love to find the spot on the table to pocket the 1 in the side with any type of regularity, 25% or more.
Right.
Or we'll just say 33% or less to 25% or more in that area is very effective.
Right.
Because you're going to get a shot probably just about every time, considering the way the players rack the balls today, with the 2 ball being racked at the bottom side of the rack. Because the softly as you break them, the 2's not going anywhere, and the cue ball's going to end up in that area. And if you pocket the 1 on the side, you're going to end up most likely with a shot on the 2, unless you get smart players racking the balls, realizing how you're breaking, and start racking the 2 somewhere else. Meantime, Buddy failed to hit the 1 after Luat played a very nice safety, hooking him behind the 9. Luat steps to the table. The 3 ball's sort of obscured by the 6 and the 7 near the upper right-hand corner. That's going to be the key ball to get on. The 4 ball position near the left-hand side pocket near the side cushion. So therefore, this shot here is probably the crucial shot for Luat in this rack. Looks like he's handled it very nicely, positioning the cue ball ideally for position for the 3, cross table on the 4. Has a very natural and open route.
He'd like to be about a foot off of the rail here.
That certainly will suffice. He has options now with the 5. Most likely he'll take the lower left-hand corner for both the 4 and the 5.
Straight in on the 5. Shoot, stop.
7 ball, positioned in front of the right-hand side pocket. Luat seems very much in control of this rack. Now the only thing you need to do here, pocket the 6. If he's able to pocket the 6, looks like it's good night Irene for this rack. Hit it a little roughly, but once again, as I alluded to a little earlier, hit it with pocket speed. And when you hit balls with pocket speed on that type of a shot, like the angle that he had on the 6, you really have to hit it poorly for the pocket not to accept the ball. Such a big percentage you have going for you when you understand what pocket speed is.
Right.
Game number 12 looks like it's going Luat's way, and it barely does after almost scratching in the corner pocket. With the pocketing of the 9, the match again will be tied up. Now with the score being 6 games for Luat, 6 games for Hall.
I just saw Luat shaking his arm because he knows he kind of let up on the stroke there a little bit on the 8 ball. He's looked over here chuckling. This table has been breaking tough.
Well, that's what you want. You want tables to break tough. You don't want to play on a table where you break the balls, you make the corner ball, another ball, and so on, making every rack seem like, all you got to do is connect the dots. There goes the 9, but it doesn't fall into the corner pocket. And once again, coming up dry on the break, it's something that both players seem to have been doing with regularity. This time, Hall sees himself behind the 4 ball, no shot on the 1.
But he's going to go 2 cushions at the 1.
Big ball, nicely struck, but he didn't pocket it this time. The last time he kicked the 1, he pocketed it in the side pocket, took care of business from that position. This time, he was unable to put the 1 down, understandably so. Luat back at the table. Match is tied up at 6 games apiece. Very quickly, the 2 ball position in the center of the table, the 3 ball near the lower left-hand corner. Now you start running into some problems with the 4.
The 3 to the 4 is definitely his main obstacle in this rack.
That's his first obstacle I failed to mention, playing position for the 2. If he was able to play correct position for the 2 ball, all he needed to do was attain the angle on the 3 to pocket the 3 in the lower left-hand corner, going cross table, ending up in back of the 8 for position for the 4. If he was able to do that, then the rest of the rack would play fairly simple. But he wasn't able to play position for the 2, let alone correct position for the 2. That would lead him for a nice angle on the 3. He's going to position the cue ball perhaps behind the 9. And very nicely done once again. Buddy finds himself kicking like a mule once again. Every time he's been at the table, it seems like to me, he's been kicking. But yet the match is tied up at 6 games apiece.
Buddy's going to go between the 5 and the 4 with inside.
That was really an excellent hit. That was an excellent hit. No, he didn't pocket the 2, but it was such a great hit. Really, a great hit. Buddy walks over to see if he's left Luat a shot. By his body language, I can't tell if he has or he hasn't. Luat bends over the table, looking around to find out if he has a shot. I don't even know if he knows if he has a shot.
I don't think that he can hit the left of center on the 2-ball to cut it in the side. And in position of the 7, he can't masse at it. He may play it off the back of the 8. Oh, he could shoot at it. Okay.
Well, what he did was he massed it. I mean, he used enough English to get the necessary, movement from the cue ball that he needed to pocket the 2-ball. If I was correct with that assessment, then that was a great shot. Now he has to be concerned about the 6, but it looks like he's going to fall quite short of that. Now the rest of the rack should play fairly simple. Maybe with the 8 presenting a little bit of a problem, but let's take a look at it from here. 4, 5, 6, 7, maybe with the 8. Let's take a look.
That was great control on the 3-ball.
I like the other angle on the 6. I like coming off the 6, cutting it into the corner pocket the other way, coming toward the 7 in that fashion.
Right.
Now, this, unless he plays it for the side, that is. Now, if he plays it for the side, it's different, and there's nothing wrong with his thought in playing position for the 7, 8, and 9.
Well, he's going to be shooting the 8 in the lower right-hand corner pocket by the 9. Hit it with high, maybe a touch inside.
Or even perhaps in the right-hand side pocket. Well, he's opting to go to the lower right-hand pocket, a pocket that plays much easier than the side.
You notice the position he got here is exactly the same as when he played position on the 4-ball earlier in the match, where the cue ball was closer to the rail. That makes, pocketing the ball and the position's automatic there, as opposed to being straight in or cutting it down the rail and having to use the side rail for position.
Yeah, that's exactly right. He positioned the cue ball ideally for not only pocketing the 4, or the 8, but also falling nicely for the 9. This has been a very sharply contested match, going back and forth. I don't know how many times the lead has changed in this match, but I don't believe either player has surmounted more than a 1-game lead, and for sure not more than 2. I think at one time Luat was ahead in the match 5-3, but no other time in the match has anyone been ahead by more than 1 game. I don't believe, but I could be wrong. In the meantime, after game number 13, Luat finds himself in the lead once again by now 7-6. So if this pattern continues, then we expect Buddy to win game number 14. Breaking the balls nicely. I don't think he's pocketed a ball as of yet, and looks like he's come up dry on the break. Buddy steps to the table, this time not having to kick, looking at the 1-ball in the side pocket. 2-ball positioned to a little bit to the right or on the other side of the 1. 3-ball is the problem ball. To the left of the 3 is the 7. The 3 is positioned very closely to the foot spot. And it's a problem ball for Buddy because the 4 blocks the pocket, the lower left-hand pocket. He could play position for the 3-4 combination. He doesn't want to do that, but perhaps he may be forced to do that. Maybe he could float down table playing position for the 3 in the right-hand side pocket. I don't know if he has the option to do that. He did have the option to do that, but that shot doesn't play quite as natural as he would have liked it to, and the position of the cue ball certainly indicates that.
I'm not sure he can make it in the side from where he's gotten.
Well, Buddy's looking at the shot. He's trying to refocus his attention toward the problem at hand, that is pocketing the 3. David, if he pockets the 3, the rest of the rack is wide open. Let's see if he can put the 3 down. Very nicely done. Now he'll go with his left hand on this shot. He's very, very astute at shooting with his opposite hand. Or should I say adept at shooting with his opposite hand.
That ball glanced off of the rail
Well, now keep in mind that the 9-ball blocks the position for the 7 in the lower right-hand pocket. He cannot be pocketed in that pocket, so therefore he's going to have to play a little more accurate position on the 6. And if he finds himself in a dead spot on the 6, it could create problems for him. See, he noticed he stayed on the other side of the 6 a little more than he wanted to, but he made sure that he didn't get straight in and dead on the 6. And if he ended up straight in on the 6, then he would have had to play position for the 7 in probably the right-hand side pocket. Now the 6-ball becomes somewhat of a small problem for him. It's another problem. It has a percentage of miss in it. Let's see if he can find the pocket. Once again, he does. Now he's most assuredly out of the woods here. 7 straight in, the 8 to the right of the cue ball, 9 in front of the lower right-hand corner. Now all he needs to do is concentrate, and everything should take care of itself.
That was excellent control from the when he shot the 6-ball, because he chose to go above the side pocket between the 8-ball and the side pocket, and that could have really posed a problem, and he made it look extremely easy.
In the angle that he had on the 6, it wasn't anything guaranteed that playing position for the 7 in the fashion that he did, that he was going to do it.
Right.
Because quite often you find yourself brushing the 8 and maybe even into the side pocket. And I've seen that happen a lot.
He probably had an inch and a half gap where the cue ball could go without either going in the side or hitting the 8. That was a
Buddy Hall position shot, which he executed perfectly, and in doing so tied up the match now with the score being 7 games for Luat and also 7 for Hall.
Just as you predicted.
Well, it seems to, if the match follows that pattern, which it has the entire match just about, this figures to be a very, very tight match. Like we said at the beginning, it figures to be a really, really close match. It could go either way, and I don't think we can get an argument from anyone that's been watching this match that it can't go either way. And matter of fact, we're watching 2 of the finest players in the world today, in naturally Buddy Hall and Rudolpho Luat. Watch out for. That's gonna cost them. That's gonna cost them. That's one of the things all top players, well, any player, hates to see, particularly top players, because when you do that as a top player and you're most likely playing against another top player, invariably that player will run the balls, and so it'll cost you that rack and perhaps the next. So when you scratch on the break, when you're playing super world-class players, it's like history for that particular game.
An interesting point, Billy. You were referring to the break. In this match, the score is 7 games apiece, and in those 14 games, 7 of them were won by the breaker, and 7 of them were won by the non-breaker.
Well, who said that the break was an advantage?
Well, then that just goes to prove that among world-class players that the break is not all it's cracked up to be.
At least in this particular match.
Right. Well, I think that would hold, that would hold
consistent
throughout
the tournament?
No. Maybe with the exception of 2 or 3 players. 2 or 3 players have a break advantage, but everybody else, it may not show up as much. Of course, you like to be breaking because it just
because you just feel more comfortable getting the first shot.
Yeah.
He's fallen short of the mark here, and this is probably the worst spot in the table he could have ended up in. And really, there's a lot of places he could have ended up in. This is probably the worst. He had absolutely no angle, and he had to use the bridge.
Very nice shot he made, drawing the ball back to the middle of the table off of the bridge.
But that was the result of pure carelessness. That's all that was. Because
that's exactly right.
When he shot the 7, in his mind, he figured nothing possibly could go wrong here. You know what? This is just like throw your stick at it, nothing possibly can go wrong. And that's, unfortunately, that's the mindset of too many players nowadays, because the balls are positioned closely to pockets and they think that nothing can go wrong. And they find themselves in difficult positions for no reason at all. That was one of those cases, but fortunately he was able to, deal with it. Now he leads in the match by 1 game once again by the score of 8 games to 7.
what he didn't do in that situation is he didn't commit one way or the other. He didn't commit to keeping the cue ball on the angle of the end rail or going over to the side rail.
He didn't.
And he didn't commit, and he ended up right in the middle, and in a very tough spot. So
he totally neglected the importance of keeping an angle, regardless of how simple a situation may appear.
That's exactly
you cannot neglect the importance of maintaining some type of an angle when you're playing 9-ball, because Mike Siegel stated it as well as anybody ever did. 9-ball is a game of angles, and if you're able to come up with an angle just about on every shot you shoot, you're going to have a lot easier time playing 9-ball than your opponent. And that was an example of what he was talking about. Even though it appeared simple, 9-ball is still a game of angles, regardless of where the balls are positioned, most often. And always remember that, and keep emphasis on angle, and you'll have a lot easier time playing 9-ball.
But he's going to go 2 cushions under the 5, position on the 2. He's gone further than he would have liked. He would have liked to have played the 2-ball in the lower left-hand corner, and he still may have to elect to do that. But he's gotten where.
Yeah, he's created a problem for himself here. He would like to play the 3 in the side. Maybe if by playing the 3 in the side, he could loosen up that position of the 7 and the 8, which may create a problem for him later on in the rack. If you notice, the 2 balls near the right-hand side pocket, as Buddy takes his break, by the way, are the 7 and the 8. If he was able to attain a shot on the 2 to play position for the 3 into the side pocket, loosening up that congestion with the 7 and the 8, it certainly opens up the entire rack for him.
Right.
He was unable, though, to play position for the 2 in order to play position for the 2 to drop nicely for the 3, so therefore now he finds himself with another problem. The problem is being now pocketing the 2.
Right.
Buddy took a little bit of a break right now, and there's no reason why we can't either. As a matter of fact, I'm going to get myself a little drink of water, but we'll be right back. All right, we're back in action, and Buddy Hall is back at the table, and it's a very interesting situation. What he would like to do after pocketing the 2, if he's able to put the 2 down, is play position for the 3 in the side pocket, possibly removing the 7 from the position that it's in now, because that's a problem he'll invariably have to deal with at a later point in this match if he doesn't loosen that 7 from the 8 on this particular shot.
He wanted to. The reason that he chose to shoot the 2-ball in the lower left-hand corner as opposed to the lower right-hand corner, the lower right-hand corner was the easier shot to pocket the 2, but he didn't want to move the 4 away from the position that it's in now. If he had pocketed the 2 in the lower right-hand corner, the cue ball would have moved the 4-ball.
That's very noteworthy, David, and that would simplify his thought by playing the 3 off the 7, realizing that he didn't have to have much cue ball movement after pocketing the 3, being the 4 being where it was. And if he eliminated the 4 from that area, then possibly he couldn't sacrifice the accuracy of the 3 to move the 7. Perhaps he may have had put more importance on controlling the cue ball and would have been able to put the 3 in off the 7. Well, anyways, he tried to play this 3 off the 7, and he failed to do so. He was really disturbed about it, and he's going to have to deal with this very delicate situation here. And I don't know if he's going to like this. He's come up short. And maybe he hasn't. I don't know. Let's take a look at it.
He's going off the point. Oh, he was straight in.
He brushed the 3 back a little bit, and now he's created a little bit of a problem in pocketing the 3 in the side and also coming up with a shot on the 9. Because the 9 is positioned to where you really have to be fairly accurate with your cue ball to get a shot on the 9. Very nicely struck. Very, very softly he struck the 8 into the side pocket, controlling the cue ball perfectly for position for the 9. Now, this is not a gimme. This is a tough shot.
The point sticks out there about a mile.
It is so nice, so nice. He cut it away from the point. All top players realizing that there is a point there because it's cost them so many times in the past.
Right.
Buddy realizing it, cutting the 9-ball away from the point. Matter of fact, there's a technique that a lot of players use on that shot. is they use the inside English on that shot, and they cut the object ball past the point, and it's sort of less. It neutralizes the cut. The inside English, it doesn't allow you to cut the ball away from the pocket, but at the same time you cut the ball off the cushion so you can avoid contacting the point.
It also puts English on the ball that causes the object ball to be spinning toward the pocket. So if it hits the end cushion first, it goes in the direction of the pocket, or into the pocket.
Watch out, breaking them softly this time, but not as softly as he did the last time he broke. The main time the match is tied up at 8 apiece. I failed to mention that. Once again, the match is tied up. This may set a record of how many times the match has been tied up. But of course, I don't know that. I could only find that out from Pat. He's at the control desk, if he has that information at hand. But let's get back to the match. He broke the ball softly again, a little harder than he did last time he broke the ball. He was pocketing a ball on the break. The 1 ball naturally in front of the upper left-hand corner. 2 ball cross table from the 1. 3 near the left-hand side rail.
He needs to make sure he doesn't hit the 4 ball here.
And he's getting a little more distance from the 2 than he wanted, considering the position of the 3. Anytime a ball is near the center of a cushion, there aren't very many options in terms of playing position on that ball, so therefore you have to have good position on the ball preceding that ball.
He's going to have to play the 3 in the lower left-hand corner. Oh, I thought he had an angle that he had to cut it to the left.
Well, he immediately walked away from the table after striking the 2 ball, realizing the cue ball was going to end up in the bottom of the side pocket. Match is tied up at 8 games apiece, and neither player has seemed to be able to put 2 games together. 2 consecutive games together. They've been trading games back and forth for the past 6-8 games. Neither player really being able to win more than 1 game.
Well, Buddy really showing his disgust in that mistake.
Well, that stemmed from his inability, if you may, of him not getting closer to the 2. He wanted to end up closer to the 2, having more control of the cue ball naturally. And when the cue ball went away from his desired position area, he was a little disturbed with that, and it was understandable because of the result of the shot.
He's played position for the 6 ball in the side pocket, because it won't go past the 9. And he's almost straight in. He'll hit it with a low right ball, bring it back to the rail. It's hitting it with the right-hand spin. He'll just shoot straight at it.
This is game number 17. It's Luat's turn to win. And if he's able to pocket the 8 and the 9 with no problems, then he'll be able to say, hey, I've got the lead once again, and he does. Now with the score being 9 games for Luat, 8 games for Hall, a race to 11. It's getting late in the match, so therefore the player that has the lead this late in the match has a bigger advantage. And every game hereafter is so crucial for either one of these 2 players.
Well, it's interesting.
More so for Buddy. He's the one that really needs this game.
An interesting way to look at it is that Buddy has to stop Luat on 1. He has to win 3 games and not allow Luat more than 1 game. So, looking at it like that, the score is 9 games to 8. But, how many games are left? Luat can't, in Buddy's position, he's got to win 3 and stop Luat from winning more than 1. So,
and that's very, very difficult. It's a lot more difficult than it seems.
It's a lot worse that way than 9-8.
Notice how softly Luat broke the balls. He just hit him like Buddy did, and I don't think Buddy's had that much success.
No.
So why would he, emulate that? I mean, okay, now the corner pocket is open for the 1, providing that you hit the rail in front of the 6, using the 6 as a sideboard to pocket the 1. But in doing that, he'll have to sacrifice his cue ball movement. He might not be able to control the cue ball good enough to play position for the 4. This is a very difficult shot, and sometimes it's hard to pull the trigger when you have a shot like this. That's exactly what he's thinking now. He's thinking, yeah, I could make the 1 off the 6, but if I make the 1 off the 6, what's going to happen to Whitey? And you got to control Whitey. Do I do it? Do I gamble here, or do I play some sort of a safety? You know, am I going to go ahead and brave it out and play the shot, or am I going to play some sort of a safety here?
He's playing safe. Behind the
Okay.
7. Oh, what a shot. Oh, my gosh.
Well,
oh, what a shot.
If you know prior to shooting the shot that you can do that, then there's no question what the option is. I mean,
Right.
the option actually is to shoot in position the cue ball in the area where Buddy has. But that shot is not a very, well, it may have not even have been an option to most players, but to Buddy that certainly was an option, and you can understand why it was an option from the results of the shot.
Great shot.
Now Luat's at the table, placing both hands, on the table like a lot of the Filipinos do. They just lean against the table whenever they're in trouble, and they ponder over the situation. Luat now trying to figure out a way how to get out of this trap. I don't really think there's much of a future for him right here. I'd maybe look to tie up something, but with the 7 ball and the cue ball so closely together, I don't think he has much future in tying up anything either. He certainly has a big problem at hand here. I don't believe he's going to do well with it.
I don't like this because of the new cloth. The ball is going to slide so much and not grab as much as you would like.
It was a very difficult shot, and now, but tell you what, Buddy's ability to control the cue ball the way that he can, and the way that he did, certainly paid off for him.
Absolutely.
And once again, it was very crucial for Buddy to capture game number 18 because he trails in the match 9-8. He came up with a super world-class shot in positioning the cue ball behind the 7.
Absolutely. Well, that was the shot of the match so far.
Well, a little bit of a lazy cue ball here. You certainly don't like this position. But of course, very workable, but there's no reason why he should go twice cross table from the position he had with ball in hand. Okay, and now he's gotten a little farther from the 3 than he intended on getting, and so now he has to control the 3 ball, and he also has to control the cue ball. It may seem easy, but sometimes strange things happen.
He's going to have to play another combination later in the rack from the 5 and 7.
Okay, now once again, it looks like nothing natural is laying for him. He can go forward 2 cushions, and going forward 2 cushions, he's going to have to take a pretty long shot on the 4. He can draw back using the side rail. I think that's his option. It'll bring him closer to the 4 with this fashion. Side rail. Now that brings him closer to the 4. Because by going forward 2 cushions, you may end up getting him back at the 8, and most often you let up on your stroke, assuring yourself you don't end up in back at the 8 and then end up with a harder, tougher, longer shot on the 4.
Right.
By using the draw option, going to the side cushion and then back toward the 4, you eliminate that fear, and quite often you end up in better shape. Oh my, that was, well, I don't know what to say there. It's just a small pocket, and the angle that he had on that particular shot really demanded a lot more respect than what he gave it, evidently. Luat back at the table, already leading in the match by 9-8 in a race to 11, realizing that if he can run this rack, he'll have a fairly commanding lead of 10-8. And certainly not insurmountable, but commanding.
Well, given that the last inning for Buddy, he missed the 4 ball, that makes it even tougher.
Now, Luat, I think, is guilty of a mistake there. He allowed the 5 ball to fall the 7 into the corner pocket, creating a problem for him now in pocketing the 8. And he missed the 8. And the reason that he missed the 8 because he had that awkward angle on the 8 that he didn't anticipate ending up with because he figured he would make the 7 on the combination, play position for the 8 off the 5. He struck the 5-7 combination too hard. 5 followed the 7 in, ended up awkward on the 8. What happens? Boom. Blundering, missing the 8, Buddy back at the table. Match tied up 9 apiece.
He did exactly what he did before. He didn't commit to one way or the other. Because if you commit to making the 5, then you put the cue ball closer to the 8.
Well, sometimes, David, I understand what you're saying, and you're totally right. But sometimes, let's just wait and see if Buddy pocketed the 9. And he does tie up the match at 9 games apiece. Let's get back to what David was discussing. David and I were discussing on commitment. Sometimes you want to commit yourself for an angle, and you want to commit yourself not to pocket both balls, but sometimes the shot dictates what you have to do.
Right.
By hitting the 5-7 combination with the speed that he hit it with, he reassured himself, or he assured himself of pocketing the combination.
Right.
Had he hit it softer, perhaps he would have given up a little accuracy on the shot where he didn't want to give up anything in that area. So I think that he favored hitting it a little harder, taking his chances that the 5 wouldn't fall the 7 in. And even if it did, he figured he could probably deal with the 8 and 9 anyways, which evidently was wrong.
Meanwhile, Buddy Hall positioned the cue ball in the exact center of the table for the first time and scratched in the side. Well, true to form, the game's score is 9 games apiece. So now, and Buddy won the last game, so now it's Luat's turn.
Okay, I never really want to second-guess Buddy. If there's anybody on the tour that I would like to second-guess, it certainly wouldn't be Buddy. But I'm afraid that I'm going to have to try to do it at this moment. That is, you've played 18 games of pool. Everyone knows that breaking from the center of the table, you're going to find probably the hardest position of the table to control the cue ball. And why would he go to the center of the table and break the balls when the score is tied up at 9 games apiece? Such a very crucial time of the match. He'd have to have a lot of confidence in controlling the cue ball off the break, doing that, which evidently he didn't do.
Well, he just I guess felt he hadn't had success anywhere else.
Well, he didn't have success in pocketing balls with any regularity, but, he still was controlling the cue ball.
Yeah.
He wasn't scratching,
Right.
But the scratch is really something that the players do not ever want to do on the break, particularly when the score is tied up in the late stage of a match.
Well, what a great shot Luat just made.
He certainly did, and he really couldn't ask for much better than what he'd received with his shot. He hit that shot with a little inside English. You're able to cut the ball a little thinner, and you're able to get a little better sight on the ball and control the cue ball with less movement by applying the inside English on that particular shot. That's a technique a lot of players have in shooting that shot. I myself shoot the shot the same way. I don't know what he's going to do from this position. I don't think he can draw it straight back to the side pocket, make him into play. If not, then he'll do that. Let's take a look. Oh, he had plenty of angle to avoid the side pocket. This is game number 19. With the pocketing of the 9, Luat will find himself on the hill, 10 games to 9.
Well, true to form. It's Buddy's turn.
So Buddy really shouldn't have anything to be worried about this game because, he figures to win this game.
Yeah. Well, the way he lost the last 2 games, he's got to be completely disgusted because by missing the 8 ball and then scratching on the break, that's 2 very un-Buddy-like.
Yeah, but he got a reprieve. Luat missed the 8.
Yeah.
Gave him a shot at the rack, and he did well with it. But repositioning the cue balls at the center of the table in preparation to break the balls is a very crucial, very crucial game 19, with the match tied at 9 games apiece, is something that I really will never understand. And then I don't think there is anything anyone can possibly say to me that's going to change my feeling on that.
Right.
And even though it may be coming from the mouth of a Buddy Hall or a Earl Strickland or Johnny Archer or anyone, I still am going to stand solid with my opinion on that. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to the center of the table for the first time in a match after it's tied up 9-9 to break the balls. Well, I guess he came up dry. Well, he's come up dry on the break, and the cue ball has found the position on the table where the 1 ball can be pocketed. The 2 ball is in front of the lower left-hand corner. The 3 and also the 4 and 7 are on the right-hand corner, near the lower right-hand corner pocket. So the 1, 2, 3, and 4 play fairly easy. Now let's take a look at the 5. The 5 down table near the center inside the box area. So therefore the crux of the problem will be from the 4 to the 5. And this is where the shot...
I like playing the angle, Billy, where you go 3 cushions, hitting it with the inside, having a little steeper
Absolutely.
angle on the 4, playing the 5 ball in the upper left-hand corner.
But the problem with that shot is that you're going away from the 6 if you end up on top of the 5. Notice the position of the 6. You see, he would like to play position for the 5 in the upper right-hand corner after pocketing the 5. Now he cuts the 5 and goes toward the 6. If the 6 was positioned somewhere near the center of the table, your shot would have been ideal. But since the 6 is positioned on the other side of the table with only 2 corner pockets to play the 6 in, you want to play the 5 in the upper right-hand corner. And he played that shot perfectly. And that is a very difficult shot to execute on the cushions that we're playing on. I don't know if they're Artemis cushions or what, but they're very, very sharp. And sometimes you have a problem getting away from the side pocket when you draw across table.
He has fallen ideal on the 5, to be sure.
And now he's found himself in a good position for the 6 in relation to the 7. The 7's cross table. He needs an angle on the 6, which undoubtedly he's come up with one, maybe too much of one, but nevertheless, it's still a good angle. And if he is able to put the 6 down, position on the 7's automatic.
Right. Well, in this situation, as in most situations, slightly too much angle is better than slightly not enough angle.
You know, this match has been extraordinarily long, and if Buddy's able to run the 7, 8, and 9, the match will be tied up at 10 games apiece. And I think we're running out of tape, so bear with us, the viewers out there. We're going to have to change the tape right after this rag, but we'll be back.
So, Billy, when Buddy pockets the 9 ball, we're going to take a break to change the tape.
Exactly.
The score will be 10 games apiece. Here
Once
we go.
again, knotted up. It's interesting, isn't it? Okay, we're back just in time as usual. He's still got the ball in the center of the table, David. And it hit the 1 ball really on the side of the 1. The cue ball flew like a rocket to the side cushion, not pocketing a ball on the break. I'm not going to agree with that now. I'm not going to agree with that tomorrow. And I probably won't agree with that ever.
Well, that just goes to show you how inaccurate even a top player can be hitting the ball at that speed. I mean, because Buddy was aiming to hit the 1 ball right in the nose.
If he could pocket the 1, he would do so. But controlling the cue ball behind the 4 is definitely an option which he opted to take. Matter of fact, that he could have gotten even a little closer to the 4 if he would have used a high left-hand ball. But of course, this is good enough. If he was assured of positioning the cue ball in the area that he ended up in by using the English or the ball that he did, there's no reason why to get any better than this when you know that you can hook your opponent. And when the score is 10-10, sometimes it's not real easy to do certain things that carry a higher degree of difficulty because of all the pressure out there. So let's see if Buddy, tied up at 10 games apiece, can get out of this predicament. He did hit the 1, and he hit it up table. It's going to come back down table and allow Luat at the table with a legitimate opportunity to close out the match at 11 games to 10. Let's take a look at the balls. The 2 ball near the right-hand side pocket, the 3 ball adjacent, cross table near the left-hand side pocket, 4 ball up table near the upper left-hand corner. The 5, 6 are positioned near the left-hand side rail. The 5 does pass the 6. Okay, very, very quickly, he's ended up in awkwardly here on the 2, unless he plays the 2 in the upper right-hand corner, which I think he's going to have to now.
He'll draw the ball down to the lower right-hand side cushion below the 7.
And I think that was just nerves that he shot that shot too quickly. and he didn't hit that shot with pocket speed.
No.
Okay,
To be
so
sure.
two things he did wrong on that shot, which made me believe that was nerves. He was a little nervous out there. Number one, he shot it quicker than he should have because the shot demanded much more respect. And then the second thing that he did wrong is he hit it too hard, and he actually, made the pocket play smaller than it should have played. So he totally abandoned the pocket speed that he had really gotten a lot of.
What had you gotten here with?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Well, Luat had the first opportunity. Now Buddy has had the second opportunity. He ran into the 4-ball, but he does have a good shot on the, well, it's not a good shot, but a very workable situation playing the 3-ball in the lower right-hand corner.
Well, considering how badly he shot the 2 and played position for the 3 and got that fortuitous kiss off the 4, he's quite happy.
Right.
He's close to the 3, something that he'll be able to deal with comfortably. Pocketing the 3. Now, all the balls are in the open, but the 7 and the 8 are in the middle of the table, and they are in the possible route that the cue ball will have to take in order to end up with a shot on the 5, unless he commits himself and stays on the left side of the table by going straight forward with inside English.
I like that, Billy, because you take the 7-ball out of play, and the 7-ball is right in the line of where you would want the cue ball. And I just don't feel like he can afford to take the chance there. Well, that's what he's done.
Okay, by choosing that fashion and playing position for the 5, he really made the remainder of the rack play a lot more simple because of the location of the 6 next to the 5. Now, all he needs to do here is pocket the 5, go in between the 6 and the 9, and back out, I'd say about 1.5 feet, where now all he'll need to do is cut the 6 in, playing position for the 7 in the left-hand side pocket. So he really doesn't want to deal with the 9 here. He doesn't want to touch the 9. He wants to come away from that cushion about 1.5 feet, so he can naturally go cross-table for the 7. I don't know. I wouldn't have dealt with the 9 there.
Well, this is a little funny. I mean, really,
If he has the side pocket available, David, the angle that he has on the 6, is pretty easy to work with in terms of playing position for the 7 in the side. So therefore, he really hasn't had anything bad happen to him by moving the 9 from that position. And it looks like it's going to be Buddy Hall, who will be the first player in the match since game number 8 or something to win 2 consecutive games. And the first player that did win 2 consecutive games was going to win this match.
Well,
and it looks like it's going to turn out to be Buddy.
Well, what did I say? Buddy had to stop him at 1 game. He won 3. Luat won 1. And, there was some uncharacteristic play in this match, but I think it's interesting for the viewers to see, these guys are human. Miss a couple of easy shots, means there's hope for the rest of us,
A 9 ball is a very, very difficult game.
Okay, Billy, I think we're going to get Buddy up here to do an interview. And, you're in this tournament. Don't you play at 11
Yeah,
o'clock?
I played 11, but that's quite some time away. That was a real good match. It was a very interesting match. We've seen a lot of real good play, a lot of
Good safeties.
Good safeties, and a lot of strategy in that match. We've seen a few unforced errors uncharacteristic of the players that were playing that match, but nevertheless, I thought in all it was a well-played match, very, very interesting match.
In Accu-Stats, we don't have the exact figures, but they both shot in the high 800s, I should say.
Yeah,
And
I'm sure they did. So I don't know. I didn't think Buddy was going to win that match when Luat had that shot on the 1. I thought Luat, in
certainly
most
didn't feel
cases,
like it.
Luat gets out from that position. Even though it's tied up 10 games apiece and there's a lot more pressure out there, that's a position that Luat figured to get out, considering his ability to play the game and the skills that he's developed throughout the years. I thought that he was going to go ahead and take control and get out that particular game and win the match.
Well, it was better than even money that he got out from there. He's going to get out from there 85% of the time, starting from the position he had on the 1.
I don't think I can get in there, guys.
Well, congratulations on a hard-fought match, and I know I felt for you out there because I've been in matches like that. I mean, it was a very sharply contested match. It was a one-game difference throughout the entire match, and you never seemed to be able to get that lead. You either failed to pocket a ball on the break or scratched on the break a few times, but you never really failed to put two games together. Fortunately, at the end of the match, you were able to put two games together and win the match. But
the second and third game, I won. That's the only time I think I went ahead. I went ahead 2-1, and then the last game, everybody watching. I mean, I played decent. I didn't miss too many balls, but the thing about it was I had to get lucky on Ian. He had to miss a ball for me to win the match.
Right.
The score was 10-10. He had the first opportunity, and I was fortunate enough to win.
Well, there was also another point in the match when the score was 5 games apiece. I put a gold star by that game because you did two things in that game. One, you jumped and made the 3, and then you banked a ball later in that game.
Yeah.
And you really had to work for that out. And
Well, there was a couple things happened there. He missed the 9 ball. I made a long rail bank on the 9, and another time he had me really in a bad spot. And he missed the 8.
Right.
But he tried to power the 8. He tried to hammer. He didn't hit it all that bad. He just caught a little point going in.
Right.
And you know that the size of the pockets out there, 4.5 inches, you really have to put the ball in the center of the pocket on certain angles to get the ball.
Right.
And especially if you hit it with the speed that he hit the 8 with.
Right.
The pocket's not going to give you anything if you don't, hit it accurately.
Exactly.
From that angle. But, all in all, I thought that you played a very good match.
I thought I played a pretty good match. Not a great one, but a pretty good one.
Not a great one, but I thought you played a good match, And like you were a little tentative out there, understandably so. You said to me, I really haven't been practicing much for this event. This is when you took your break, by the way. And you had the 2, 3, up to 7 in the side pocket. Remember, I got over to you. And you says, I'm feeling a little bit jumpy because you are allowing things to bother you, which is really uncharacteristic of
Well,
the way
nothing bothered me after that. Maybe I just need to say it. Well, I played a decent match there. Hopefully, every match after the first match gets a little better,
Right,
Maybe
right.
I'll play a little better as I go.
It usually does.
You have also started playing with the Maddux cue.
Right.
And how long have you been playing with that cue?
About 2 months.
2 months?
Yeah.
So you've had plenty of time to adjust.
Oh, yeah.
Adjust to it and everything.
Right.
Yeah.
Anyways, congratulations once again in winning that very, very sharply contested match, 11 games to 10, by against one of the finest players in the world, in Rudolpho Luat. And who is your next opponent? You don't know right now?
I don't know. I have to go see.
Well, go ahead and see, and I'll talk to you later about it.
All right.
Thanks
Thank
for
you, Billy.
stopping up.
Thank you,
buddy.
David.
Okay, then we're going to leave everyone now, and David Maddux next to me. On behalf of David Maddux, this is Bill Incardona saying thanks a lot for supporting Accu-Stats. We're going to come right back, I believe, with Michael Coltrane and Kim Davenport. So if you happen to be talking with Pat Fleming, in the near future, 1-800-828-0397. If you have any interest in the Coltrane-Davenport match, ask him about it because Coltrane's playing pretty good. You never know what can happen here. See you later.